Welcome to the MoneyWise Channel. On this channel, we talk about inspirational events and a lot of great money things, Our motto is success goes to the person that holds on after everybody else have let go, you know? So usually I talk about videos people send me or things that I've seen, and that's basically what I'm going to do today. I'm going to give my reaction to what I saw, and hopefully it inspires you to become even greater than you already are. So today we're going to be talking about an artist by the name of Kirk Franklin. I seen he had an interview that was Kirk Franklin's interview on difficult childhood, porn addiction, and being adopted. That's Kirk Franklin on his difficult childhood, porn addiction, and being adopted. That's a lot. And I'm like, whoa, this is a gospel artist and he got, difficult childhood. I understand that's normal somewhat. Porn addiction caught me a little off guard, and being adopted, I'm like, whoa, this guy had a lot happen. Makes sense why his music is so good and inspirational. So, but before we get into what he said in the interview, let me break some things down like his name and give you a kind of a backstory real quick. So Kirk Franklin's full name is Kirk Dwayne Franklin. He's from Fort Worth, Texas. He's a Christian music producer. I would say Christian super music producer because he produces a lot of music. Also, besides Christian, he also just does a lot of great music, period. But Christian music producer and musical artist because he's a platinum artist. He grew up with his sister. He speaks about her a lot, so I believe he just has a sister. His mom gave him up for adoption when he was really young, and him and his sister. See, this is where it gets crazy because he said real quick that him and his sister was molested at the age of 8 within the family. I was like, whoa. So she must have I don't know if she gave them up before the molestation in the family, or was it after the molestation in the family? But the point is, he said at age 8, they were molested within the family. Then he said that he was raised by a 60-year-old woman, which I believe her name was Gertrude, and she helped raise him. And she was somewhat poor because I guess she had to crush cans up, aluminum cans. They would make a day of it, going to get it, and then they would crush them up and sell them to help pay the bills. So I believe this was Gertrude, and she was 62 years old, and she had to raise him up. He grew up in the church playing music, and I guess he received his first contract at age 7. He was pretty good at music from what they're saying, and his aunt turned it down because clearly he was really young. I guess he was that pretty good early. But as he became to get older, as a teenager, this is where the problems even more kicked in because he rebelled. Like most teenagers, though, we can't act like we don't get it, but most teenagers do that. He started to rebel and, running more in the streets, trying a little bit of drugs here and there. And supposedly he got a girl pregnant. Then it was like an abortion, then another. It got a little crazy in there. And he was 15 years old when his best friend got murdered. And that really gave him a different outlook of life. Also, his sister, as they got older, went to prison and she got hooked on drugs. And so all that molestation and all that stuff, it really hit its core as their mom put them up for adoption. It really just put their lives on different paths. He went to Ocean Dean Wyatt High School. And at this high school was a woman named Jewel Kelly. I think she was a teacher, and she worked with him on music and really helped him build his or elevate his education and intelligence as far as music notes and things like that. So that's why he's able to compose such beautiful music at this point, because he was able to study. Because anything you want to do, you're going to have to study it. You're going to have to learn it. I always talk about the business on this channel, MoneyWise Channel. Anything you want to do, you have to learn from. You're going to have to put those 10,000 hours in. The book called The Tipping Point and all the David and Goliath and all that. You have to read these books, how they talk about 10,000 plus hours you have to put into something to push yourself. Anybody that's good at something, more or less great, but just good at it, they're going to say that they Continue to do it over time. You know, it's something you have to do. You find some of the best basketball players. They could be the best, and they'll tell you still, like even like Steph Curry, he'll tell you he still shoots over 300 shots from the 3-point line every day. Every day he's shooting like 30 to 300 shots a day. 30 on a bad day, 300 on a great day. He's going out there and he's shooting. And this is already a champion at what he does. You have to put those hours in, and you have to put some hours in to keep yourself regulated or up to par. So he went to Ocean White High School. Like I said, he was trained under Jewel Kelly as a teacher. She worked with him and she taught him more things. And he says after the shooting death of his friend at age 15, which I talked about earlier, he kept going to church, and he ended up help co-directing a choir, I guess like Georgia Mass Choir, I believe it is, Georgia Mass Choir, with the legend Milton Bigham. His name is Milton Bigham. He's a gospel director and musical artist, and he started to work with him with the Georgia Mass Choir. And Kirk was doing this at age 20. That's the level of intelligence of music and feeling and vibe that he had at that early age. At 20, he's standing beside a legend where the legend is kind of letting him lead the situation. The only reason they're not going to call him the leader because you don't want to do that to a legend. But he's saying, but Milton Bigham made it clear that they were following his lead, Kirk's lead. And that was at age 20. So that propelled him on to 1993, where he started Kirk Franklin and the Family. Now, this is around the time most of us really start to know more about him. All the stuff we didn't know before, but this gets into the time period where most people know about Kirk Franklin, because it's Kirk Franklin and the Family, and they end up having a song called Stomp. All my people say Stomp. So most people came across that, and it was a different type of music at that time because it was more street orientated, but it still had the good gospel, which gospel means good news. So he put the good news in it, so that made it a gospel record. When they dropped this album, it stayed on the charts for like 2 years at the top. He sold millions of albums, which was pretty huge because he didn't just sell in the church, he sold outside the church. He sold everywhere. He was on the R&B charts. He was on all these different charts, which people had never seen before. They were like, oh my God, because he could relate, because the way he dressed, the way he talked, the way he kicked it, that swag, more people was able to come and hear the good news, which brought on other artists. If you look, he birthed a lot of different artists after him that were more relatable to people. More people came in, so you can go look at there's many different artists after that, like Mary and so on, etc., that came with those songs. They had Shackles on My Feet and all that. So, it's just they were able to tap into that more dance, good times, spirit music. So that was Kirk Franklin that birthed that. So you definitely have to give him that. But in the midst of it all that success, all that money, like Lecrae talked about. Lecrae talked about that. I did a video speaking about when Lecrae, which is a gospel artist, said when you get on these major labels, you start selling a lot of records, things can get out of control, and that's why he said he left Columbia Records and went back to independent, where he felt he could control himself in his mind. So with Kirk, what happened was it was so huge. He was promiscuous. He already had the situation with being molested. So sexually, he was already a lot out there. He had already experimented with drugs. So when all this money and fame starts coming, here we are again. Those same people will call demons, or situations, they still show their self if you're not really over it. So this is where the situation with the porn addiction, the sexual situations happening, start getting out of control. And that's how he ended himself into this situation he was talking about. So he basically speaks on how he married his best friend. Her name is Tammy Collins. He marries her in 1996. Remember, 1993 is when everything is just millions and millions of records, bringing in millions and millions of dollars. In 1996, he marries his best friend, Tammy Collins. After he marries her, she starts to help him with his issues and working with him. We know that because in 2005, on the Oprah show, it's in 2005, he discussed this with his wife about how he got over porn with his wife, how he had to go get out of relationships. Now remember, for over a decade, he was doing church music and doing that, but he had relationships. He had women on the side. He had porn situations. He had phones full of porn and nude pictures from women in the church that are gospel singers, and yes, it was going crazy. Some would say Kirk Franklin's phone was litty. It was lit. So, but that's not how it's supposed to be when you're a gospel singer. You're supposed to be more relaxed and not doing those things. So his wife worked with him from 1996 to 2005. She worked with him and they got him through it. And I thought that was great because this is a guy that did 12 albums. You know, his net worth right now is $8.5 million. That's his net worth. He came from poverty and he brought himself up. We're so proud of you, Kirk. If you hear this, we want to let you know we're proud of you. We just talked about the things you said in your life and you really came through it. And it just inspires us to know that no matter what we're going through, if we stay to it and stay focused, we can get to the top. You know, so everybody just stay excited. We'll be dropping more videos to inspire. Faith without works is dead. Remember, keep your eyes out for the small things as you're doing the big things. Like and subscribe to this MoneyWise channel for more wisdom. Remember, the plans may change, but the goals stay the same. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Yep.